So, quick video. Little Bill Shorten quit, resigned from politics. Probably realised something after it was pointed out to him a couple of weeks ago. Isn't that right, Pauline?
I saw Hoppy down there, so great to have. I saw Hoppy down there, so great to have. Hoppy down there, so great to have you here, Hoppy.
So we look at this Bill Shorten and the CFMEU and the undermining of the Australian economy. We look at the NDIS and we look at the forced takeover of a mine to look good, Bill. Now, you left a forwarding address at the ANU, the Australian National University in Canberra, I believe. So at least we know where you are when we go to charge you with those criminal offences that you've committed in your career. Now, what is being complicit in a society that seeks to undermine the Constitution and change the future of Australia? What are you in cahoots with? Is that conspiring with others to get something done, Bill, at the highest offices of the country, including the ideology of turning that Constitution into a republic?
Hoppy down there, so great to have you here, Hoppy.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Where did that ideology come from, Bill Shorten? Might it be these people that you're all mixed up with? Here's proof of you making an address to these people, this certain society that uses a wolf in sheep's clothing as its emblem. Bill Shorten. Would that have something to do with the stabbing in the back of Kevin Rudd so that one of your party favourites, Julia, could get into power? Would that then involve stabbing Julia in the back? Would this involve the Governor-General? We pointed that out already, didn't we, Bill? We pointed it out already that there was a certain thing to undermine the office of the Governor-General with some certain society which Bob Hawke spoke to in the past. So here's some evidence of Bob doing exactly the same thing that you did, Bill. What did Bob do to the country, Bill? Is that part of the reason why we've collapsed into this failed identity? We've lost our identity as Australians, haven't we, Bill? Because of you and this little society that you're in cahoots with that seeks to undermine the values of Australia for its own gain. A society which has over 1,000 members is trying to undermine a society with over 27 million members, Bill, and you're part of that, using that society to bounce your way into office in the first place and then try and undermine the Crown at which you're mixed up with in Quinton Bryce. So now you go to a university, the glass ceiling, right? To keep all the children under that glass ceiling, right, Bill? Because that's part of the manipulation into office, isn't it, Bill? You manipulate the minds of the people to think that their ceiling is limited. How you've lowered that ceiling over the last 10, 15 years, haven't you, Bill? You've dumbed the children down by bringing the ceiling they can achieve lower and lower and lower, while you and your society mates go up against those Tony Abbott type societies, right? Those Jesuits, neither of which are of the Australian Imperial Crown so established at law. I mean, we could desecrate the Anzac all day long from a Jesuit society, couldn't we, Bill? And we could see that and come in as a Fabian society and try and undermine it all for their own gain, right, Bill? So which society are you part of? The Australian Society, the Fabian Society, or the Jesuit Society? Or the Jewish Society? None of which are actually party to the Constitution you're supposed to uphold while in office. Now, your CFMEU and all of these land titles underneath it all, Bill, your actions in the mining and the land titles underneath it all, Bill, I think we call that profit a prondra under rules of usufruct, Bill. So what if it's found if you manipulated that against an administration on behalf of your society? Would that be you and your society manipulating administration for your own gain at the cost of everyone else? Is it because of people like you stabbing each other in the back, trying to get power? Those Jesuits can't have power, can they, Mr. Fabian? And those Fabians can't have power, can they, Mr. Jesuit? And those Zionists do what? And you politicians don't bring up any of it because you can't speak about your masters while you dismantle the very constitution you're supposed to master. So did you serve God, Bill? Or did you serve self-interests with other self-interested people in secret societies where they do things in secret? Like the Fabians, like the Jesuits, like the Zionists. All against the Constitution out in the open that you try and manipulate and change for some reason. So here we have Bill Shorten with a history of manipulating the Constitution on behalf of a small interested group of people. That could be considered a crime against the Constitution for a group like the Fabian Society to try and continue to undermine your Constitution and turn it into a republic, going back long before Gough Whitlam was removed from government, as demonstrated here. The Queen saw it coming and demanded that that man resign, and he refused to, and he was removed from government before the government attempted to turn Australia into its own crown. And along comes something else to undermine it all while it's under administration. And there's evidence on the table up the wahoo to prove all of this. So Bill, good riddance. We know where you are when all the evidence is collated together. We know who you work for and where the money for that all comes from. We know the societies you operate with and how you attempted to undermine the Constitution for decades. Decades on behalf of a society with ideologies, Bill Shorten. On behalf of a society with ideologies. So good riddance. I hope it all falls apart for you. I hope the people in your university start to realise. Or do they control the university as well, Bill? And therefore in cahoots to brain train the people to believe false ideologies. In universities, Bill, woke ideologies coming out of universities on behalf of organisations that you're in cahoots with, like the Fabian Society, right? So to everyone else, can you see how speaking up impacts these people and they scramble to cover? The rat jumps off the ship and goes off somewhere else to push his ideologies. So it is your universities, it is your police forces, it is your governments, And they're all doing it on behalf of enclosed societies like Scottish Rite Freemasonry that doesn't belong here, like Jesuits that don't belong here, like Fabians that don't belong here. While you all sit there ignored in your constitution because these parties manipulate control into career politicians like Bill Shortens that just decided to resign out of the blue.